Hi and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits, and today is Sunday, February 11th, 2018. This is episode 301. So last episode we just approached the 300 mark, and now we're at 301, and it has been 7 years since Dramatic Knits has been produced. It's crazy, 7 years. So much has changed and happened, and, those first episodes are long gone, being eaten up by Blip, the company that went under that first originally was broadcasting my show. But, there's always been the website and iTunes and now YouTube. So, unfortunately, can't go back and watch those first episodes again. They're gone. But I have been doing this for 7 years. It's crazy. And, Callie joined me within the first year, and it's been a long ride. And those of you who have been with me a long time, thank you for coming back each and every episode. You've seen a lot of changes and growth in my life in those past 7 years. And those of you that are new and are like, 7 years, I'm just finding you. Well, thank you so much for finding me and giving me a shot, and I hope you enjoy today's episode. As you can see, I am by myself. Callie unfortunately got the news yesterday that she has come down with pink eye. And while she was not pushing to record at all, she had wanted to stay home, I actually requested that she not come over for this episode because I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling here in the next couple of weeks, and I don't need to run the risk of contracting pink eye. So we're recording solo, so it might be a shorter episode. We'll see how long-winded I get. But if you feel so inclined, shoot Callie a message on Ravelry or Instagram. She's Callisters on Ravelry and Callisters88 on Instagram. Just giving her a virtual hug. I know she would appreciate it. So she has been doing knitting amongst, all of her busy life stuff. So I'm sure she'll catch you up on everything when we record again. I am going to say it now, so don't forget at the end of the show. We will not be back for 3 weeks instead of the normal 2. So episode 302 will be in 3 weeks. And that is because Andy and myself are going to be leaving this weekend on Sunday, actually, to drive across the country to Stitches West in Santa Clara, California. So super exciting. And if you feel so inclined, I'm going to do my best to be doing Instagram stories throughout the whole experience. So it's going to be a 12-day trip for us, and I'm hoping that I can show you a little bit of our road trip across the country, our first experience at Stitches West, which is the largest Stitches show in the United States, and then our road trip back, which may be a different route than we take out there. So follow me on Instagram, Leading Men Fiber Arts, if you do not do so. And if you don't check stories normally, which I know I don't do a whole lot of the story checking of myself, of people that I follow, but up at the top you can see who's posted stories, and they stay live for 24 hours. So it'll be 3 weeks before we have Callie back, but as we say in theater, the show must go on. So here I am. So I'm actually still in my PJs. It is really early in the morning, and as you can see, we're back to our old angle because I can fit myself in the screen and not fit 2 people. I'm sitting at my computer where everything is always sprawled out from my crafting, and I'm trying to look at the camera, not at myself. So again, closer, the camera is a little closer to me. So it is only 9:15 in the morning. I have been up for over 2 hours. Andy's made me breakfast. I've done a little knitting or a little spinning and a little cross stitch already this morning. So I figured why not get those show notes all tidied up, pull for all the prizes we have to give away this episode, and sit down and talk to you guys and chat with you. So super excited to do that today, and let's see where the episode takes us. So hopefully you won't hear much background noise. Andy's watching TV downstairs, but there's also snow plows going. We got a lot of freezing rain / ice, snow. Not a lot, but they're trying to keep the streets safe, and I do live on a busier intersection. So anyway, to talk about my last 2 weeks, nothing too exciting. I've been going to my local knitting group, which is held at Les Moutons Rouge Knittery in Bloomington, Illinois. So if you're ever in the Bloomington, Central Illinois location or area, I would definitely check out that shop. And a lot of people show up on Saturdays to go shopping, and they're like, "Hey, Steve's here," and I'm usually there on Saturdays from about 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, depending on when I get my stuff together to leave. And that will be changing in the future as I'm going to be doing a lot more traveling on the weekends. But when I'm home, I'm usually there on Saturdays, and I also attend their Tuesday night and night when I'm home as well. So I've been doing a decent amount of crafting on top of prepping for show season and dyeing all the yarn and getting acclimated to Andy being home full time. So yes, since we last recorded, Andy is now full time with Leading Men Fiber Arts as well as myself. And so he took some, getting used to the first couple of days. We're still finding our rhythm, but we do have our second dye studio pretty much fully set up in our basement. So he works down there. I still work in the kitchen. We cross paths, a dozen, 2 dozen times throughout the day. We say what we need to say to each other, but we kind of have our separate workspaces, which works out well. And so we're producing a lot more yarn than we have in the past, which is good. Excuse my voice. I will be drinking my second cup of coffee for today. So excited to see all this inventory and stock building up, and our shop is, got a lot of products in it. So that'll be exciting. I will say that the shop will stay open while we're at Stitches West because my sister will be here, and we've kind of trained her how to ship orders. So she'll be able to check the shop while she's also going to be taking care of our dogs and be able to pack orders that you may place while we're gone. So I will say things like gradients, sock blanks, kits, and maybe 1 or 2 other things will not be in the shop. Those will be closed down while we're gone because that inventory will be going with us to Stitches West. So anyway, that's been my 2 weeks in review as far as I can remember. Nothing else too exciting. So let's get into the knitting and let's talk about what's taking about. I have 4 finished objects for you this episode, so that's super exciting. So the first one is another basic hat out of Leading Men Fiber Arts Box Office or worsted weight, and this is out of the Ice Ice Baby colorway, and I knit it on a size 6 and 8 US needle, 6 for the brim, 8 for the body. I did go down on stitches for this, so usually I use 96 stitches, and my hat recipe is on any of my hat project pages on Ravelry. I do have my recipe there from cast on to bind off. So this one I cast on 88 stitches instead of 96 to get more of a fitted beanie, which I do have a ginormous head, but it's a little bit more fitted on my head, so maybe just the slightest bit of slouch, but it's more of a beanie style. So the one that I'm currently working on, I did 88 stitches too. So enjoying that, and that'll be another one for the Operation Chemo Comfort pile that I'm building for the hat drive that we do with them in the fall. All right, next up is right behind me. Can you see this beauty here? So this is Paris by Day, and I've been working on this for a decent amount of time, but it's got a lot of knitting involved. And this is by Mira Cole, who is the owner of Ba Yarns, and she designed this using her yarn Ba La Jolla in the Venom colorway is what I knitted out of. And the La Jolla is 100% superwash merino fingering weight, and I used a size 6 US 4mm needle. So that's 3 skeins of the La Jolla, 1,200 yards. It was a slog, but it was great night knitting because it was enough to keep you interested, but mindless enough that you could talk and put the project down whenever you needed to and pick it back up. Now the original pattern said to use 3 colors and kind of fade them from one color into the next, and so it would be 3 color blocks along the wrap. I did not care for that look, so I just did 3 of one color. I really like the way that it looks, and this will actually be going to my local yarn store on Tuesday for them to use as a shop sample for a little while. So super excited about that. I love the way that the chevron plays with the variegation, so it kind of gives you that wavy look with the variegated yarns, and the drape is beautiful. I like this scarf look the best. I'm not going to wear it as a wrap. I don't know if I'll even wear it. I don't know where it's going to end up living in its final home location, but I may be donating that to the SSK special charity that they do for the Scarlett Bennett Center in Nashville for women and children of domestic violence. So I usually donate to that every year, and I usually donate something that took time and has some nicer quality products used in it to knit. So that one may go to Nashville with me to be donated. So we'll see. All right, the next thing I finished is the Quick Slip Cowl, and this is by Andra Asars. And this was knit using Plymouth Yarn's Masushi Big in color number 103, which is the red-blue colorway. And so it's a simple knit one, slip one with yarn in front, and you cast on. It's free, and this was 101 stitches for the pattern, and it's pretty thin using one skein, but I actually like it as an accent piece. And you cast on 101 stitches, and it's just knit one, slip one with yarn in front, all the way around. And you actually just keep doing that because it's an odd number the way it breaks up the texture here. You never have to follow rows. You just start doing those 2 stitches all the way until you are about to run out of yarn, and you do a bind off. So I like this. I actually really like the colors. I thought it was interesting the way the red and blue kind of worked out. I started down here and I was like, oh, that's pretty, and then I was like, bam, color, but it works out well. So you can see that there. It's a decent sized loop, and it can be doubled, but it's real snug on me. So if I wanted to really keep out the cold, I would just fold it and then zip up my jacket. But it's a nice length to cover the back of the neck and not be too bulky. So I'm happy with that. Again, I'm not sure if this will be donated to a future charity or where it's going to go, but I wanted to knit up a quick bulky project, and this was super quick. I probably could have finished it within one day if I started in the morning and knit, into the night. Again, not all day, but if I was knitting throughout the day, I could have finished it in one day. It did take me a couple of days just because I started it and then did not have as much time as I had planned. So there's that. That again is the Quick Slip Cowl that's free on Ravelry. And the last thing I finished, I bound off yesterday. It's not been washed or blocked yet, but it is the Boy Hat by Elizabeth Heath Heckman. And again, this is free on Ravelry as well. And this uses Jarbo Garn Ragi Batik in color number 1530, which is cream gray blue. And this I picked up in the sale room at my local yarn store. And I knit this using a size 7 US 4.5 millimeter needles. And it's only one needle because there's no actual brim. It's all ribbing. And boy, does this fit super well for me. I was super excited for this. It is a good fitting hat. It covers my ears, but doesn't. A lot of times hats that cover my ears come down over my glasses, and then you get that kind of weird bridge thing. I really like this. Unfortunately, as you'll see in Stash Enhancement, I bought something to accompany this hat, wink wink. And so because I purchased that, I'm not going to wear this hat with that thing. So but I think I have a good recipient who's going to get this weekend. So super simple. I really, really like this hat. It is knit with a worsted weight. This actually was Aran, so it's even cushier. But I love the ribbing because it can fit a wide variety of head shapes. So if you have a lot of hair, it's going to fit that in there. If you have a big head like me, it's going to stretch out to that, but it also can go, you can see here, it can go squish into a smaller head as well. So, and I was worried, I thought the decreases looked a little pointy, but nope, those flatten right out. You can see here how the decreases work out with the ribbing. So yeah, really enjoyed that. So I may be knitting more of these in the future, maybe with some LMFA, my Leading Men Fiber Arts hats. So I finished that yesterday, so I'm going to wash and block that here later today. So that's all that I finished. But 2 hats, a cowl, and a wrap. We're going to call that a wrap for episode 301 in terms of finished objects. Not the show. Don't worry, I got plenty more to talk about. Okay, so let's talk about what is performing this week. So I'm trying to scroll through my show notes without using my mouse, because if you're sitting on my computer or my desk on my tripod, but if I use my mouse, it tends to jiggle the camera, so I'm trying to avoid that. Okay, so first up, it's like all socks and all hats all the time anymore, is my Simple Skip Socks by Adrienne Koo. And I'm using Skein Yarn Top Draw Sock in the Static colorway. And then Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper Intermission in the Saffron colorway. And these are knit on a size 1 US 2.25 millimeter needle. So this is the Static. Let's see, I can get so much closer to the camera and better lighting over here. And the Saffron, so that picks up those blips of orange in there, and I am in love with this. I have turned the heel and I'm finished decreasing down the gusset, and I am working my way down the foot now. So again, this has that rib texture. These are going to be for Andy actually, and he's super excited about it. He loves orange. Orange is his favorite color. So there you go, and you can see the skip texture there. Super easy stitch. And I thought about just doing the foot basic and not carrying down the skip along the instep, but I decided to follow the pattern even with the heel. It's got a slip stitch heel, followed the pattern to a T. So there's that. So these will be going with me to not only California probably, but also the Knitting Pipeline Retreat, which I'm going to this weekend. Super excited to kick off my knitting vacation almost with a retreat close to home. So the Pipeline Retreat is only about just over an hour away from home, and so it's kind of like in my backyard, though I did get a hotel just because I don't want to drive home and drive back the next day. So, but there's 2 hotels in Washington. One's the decent one, which I stayed at last year, and one is the much cheaper one, which I'm staying at this year because I'm like, I just need a place to sleep. So we'll see how that one goes. Now that Andy and I are full-time, we're like, well, we can't be getting the mid-range hotels all the time. We gotta stay in the skeezy ones every once in a while to save a few bucks. So, yeah. Okay, next up for me is my rubber ducky hat. So again, I'm usually always have a hat on the needles. Basic worsted weight hat out of Leading Men Fiber Arts box office, and that will be donated. And this one is out of Rubber Ducky, which is that fun bright yellow. There, that's more true to color. And I'm getting close to getting to the crown decreases, so these whip up super quick for me. Again, this one's on 88 stitches. Just like the blue one. And yeah, that's knit on a size 8 and 6 US, which is a 5 and 4 millimeter needle. So that's going. And the next thing I cast on yesterday, and I was hoping that I could use one of my stash enhancement items. Well, I'm using 2. First of all, the yarn is new, so I'm kind of telling you all my stash enhancement stuff sooner than later. But I've picked up now 3 skeins of this at my local yarn store. The problem with having an extremely well-stocked local yarn store is that it is hard to walk out of there every week, if not, I'm usually there twice a week anymore, without getting something. And so I've stashed 3 balls of this Regia Perfect, and I got another, or this is my 3rd one, and I got this on Tuesday, and I'm like, we're going to get it right on the needles. And this is in color number 7114, which is the waterfall colorway, which looks like this. And usually I knit my socks on a size 1, which is a 2.25 millimeter needle. And I had picked up a pair of these on Tuesday as well, the Addi Flexi Flips. And I cast on with these at knitting yesterday. I got about 2 rounds in. I was like, okay, I'm not sure. We'll see. I did another 7 rounds yet last night, and I couldn't do it. They're not bad in terms of the needle length in my hand, which is what I was worried about. The problem is the needles are so short that the back needle, because it's a lot like knitting on 2 circulars, almost, which is how I prefer, but the back needle is jabbing into my hands at all times, and there's not enough excess for them to go anywhere. And so I was not enjoying it. And so I took them off of these and I put them on another set of needles. Unfortunately, I only have one duo of 24-inch size 1 2.25 needles, which are in the Simple Skip socks. So I'm knitting now these on 1.5s or 1.5s, 2.5 millimeter needles, which is what I used to knit my socks on, just because I couldn't do these. So these are actually going to be given as a prize later on in the show. And so unfortunately, I told myself I wasn't going to buy these because I didn't think I'd like them. And yeah, I should have listened to myself, right? You can even see here on the picture, can you see? It's not going to focus really well. But one of the needles over here, it's like jamming into her hand. And while I could either get it there or it was jamming into the palm of my hand, and it just was not. They're like, it's like DPNs. And I was like, but DPNs don't jam into the palm of my hand. So I tried. But anyway, so I'm back on to 1.5 needles. And I believe these are Hiya Sharps. I haven't knit with these in a while, but I think the blue ones, I think these are the only pair that I own of Hiya Sharps. So if you've never knit with the Perfect, you pull from the beginning in the center of the ball, and it has directions on the inside of the ball band. And it's got this yellow leader yarn. You don't knit with that. You pull it out till you get to the color, and you cut off the yarn, and you cast off, and you're supposed to knit the cuff with the first color. Now you can see here this is gray, and I've got 10 rounds of 2x2 ribbing in here on 72 stitches. I have heard from many people that the cuff is way too long, like there's too much color. So I have a feeling I'm going to go to 20 rounds. I usually do about 15, but I'll give it about 20 rounds. And if I'm still in the gray, I'm going to just cut it and I'll pull until I come to the next color. And then you knit the leg with this striping color for this particular colorway. There's 7 stripes of color, and you knit the leg. And then once you finish that gray again, that's when you start your heel flap and then decrease down the gusset. And this one has that plain color down the foot, so that's pretty simple to do. And then there's enough to knit the first sock. There's 50 grams, and then there's another bit of that yellow leader in the middle, and that then tells you when to start the second sock. So you pull off until you get to the second half of the yarn. So that's going. And then the last thing I wanted to show you in terms of work in progress is my scrap blankets. So I have been telling you for weeks, I keep forgetting them downstairs. I did not forget it, and I've been working on them a decent amount. So it's going to be hard to show you this close to the camera. But I have a granny square blanket going that is ginormous, but still not big enough to like cover a whole body. So here is where it's at. And I'll just start kind of scrolling. There's the bottom all the way down. And I just magic knot on a new scrap and use it as I go through. I do not do like a single round or any of that stuff. And this one is very holy. When I sat down and watched a YouTube video to chain this on, whatever video I watched told me to chain 3 in between every granny square, every cluster of 3, which gives you a very drape. I like the drape of this, and it will still be warm, but it's one of those like you're gonna get your hands and or fingers and toes caught in it. And when my friend Amber, Yarn Hoarder, was here visiting me a couple weeks ago, I had her sit down and show me how to do small granny squares because she's got plenty of scrap blankets going if you watch her podcast. And there was one in particular that I really fell in love with, which were these small squares, and then she borders them in a color and attaches them on. So she showed me her recipe for doing those small granny squares, and I've done a couple of them with the scraps. So as I'm putting a new scrap onto the major blanket, I'm first now doing a small square, then I attach it onto the major blanket. And so I've got 3 of those squares. Now these are not bordered in colors yet because Amber says that it's easier to crochet them on as you go, as you're working onto the blanket. So she's going to show me how to do that when she comes and visits next time. She offered at Pipeline, but I have a feeling I won't be able to concentrate there. So next time she comes and visits me, she'll show me how to border these and then start making the actual blanket. But the first one I did was this purple one. And so these are just little granny squares. And notice there's so much. One, I went down a hook size, 2 hook sizes. The main blanket is done on an E, which is a 3.5 millimeter needle. And this is done on a C, which is a 3.0 millimeter needle. Because I knew this was coming out so big, I wanted something a little more dense and not so holey. So they're smaller, but also Amber was like, I don't chain in between my clusters. You only chain in between the corners. And so it's much more of a denser fabric. And the next one I did, I think these 2 are Show Stealer from Lediman Fiber Arts. This one's London Fog. And then this one here I just finished last night is Starting Point. So these are going to be all kind of window paned together. I'm so excited about this one. In fact, when I catch up with my scraps on the fingering weight, I have a bag of scraps, worsted, DK worsted, bulky scraps. I'm going to rip out anything I had started with that and just do these smaller ones for my heavier weight blanket as well. So those are going. That's, this is my granny square blanket. It's a blanket only a mother can love, but I kind of love it. So there's that. And now I've never really been a purchaser of mini skeins. I'm not like, ooh, mini skeins. Don't get me wrong. I dye a lot of them. We sell a lot of them. I get the attraction, but it's never been appealing to me. And now I'm like, ooh, I could, pick up different mini skeins from dyers and work them into my blankets. Do you see the rabbit hole? Do you see me falling down it? Because I do. Anyway. All right, so let's move on. So now that we've talked about what I've worked on, what I've finished, what's coming up, what's in rehearsal, I'm going to put more hats and socks on the needles. I think I'm going to take my other 2 balls of Regia Perfect with me to California because I'm going to knit 4 pairs of socks. Plus cast on something and how many hats? Because I'll want to work on Lediman Fiber Arts yarn in the booth at Stitches West. Though I have a feeling I might break out a sock blank and knit from a sock blank, whether it be socks or a boomerang, I don't know. We'll find out. So that's what's coming up. So let's talk about behind the scenes. What am I spinning? I'm spinning a braid of Yarn Geek Fibers Polworth in the Odd Duck colorway. It's a one-of-a-kind colorway. And the first half of the braid is this kind of black charcoal, and then, I don't know if you can see it in here. I could have swore I saw it earlier. It also had this blackened fuchsia going on, so it looks like this. It was a lot of just the same color. But I don't know if you can see. No, it's too dark in there. But the inside of it is like this darkened fuchsia. So it goes from black to darkish, or darkest fuchsia to black. The other half of the braid goes through the bright rainbow. And I'm going to see if I can pull my Hanson mini spinners right next to you. So I'm doing blue right now. I can't. Well, it just came disconnected. So we've got some blue here. It goes into green, yellow, orange, and then this fuchsia. And so One ply is going to be that darkened fuchsia to black, and that darkened fuchsia is going to start at the blue, so it won't be fuchsia on fuchsia. And then one ply will be the rainbow. So I'm super excited to see how this turns out. And I do sell my hand spun in the Leading Men Fiber Art shop. So I probably will not knit with it, but I'm super excited to see when it gets knit up what it turns into. So spinning that, and that's all that I have on the wheel right now. So let's move into In the Scene shop, what's going on in my other crafting endeavors, and that's cross stitch. And I have been, again, giving decent amount of time to my Dimensions in the Moment kit, which it says Live Life in the Moment. And I'm working on Moment, the final word. And I don't know if I mentioned this last episode, but I ran out of one of the colors, and I had to run to Hobby Lobby to pick up a skein of DMC floss that would match the color in the kit. Picked it up, came home. I don't know where it went. I lost it. I know I threw it in my crafting cart, which is sitting over here. No, it was there. I can picture it in my mind, sitting on the top rack here, and then it was gone. So I had to go back and run back and pick up another skein of this floss, which I haven't even broken into yet. I do need to eventually use it, but this is being stitched on a 28 count even weave. It did come with a 14 count Aida, but it was much too stiff. The kit that I showed last episode with the cow, thank you so much for those of you who left comments on YouTube stating that I could wash the Aida. I have not done that, but I may do that with the cow project just because I don't want to buy new fabric for it. So I may look up a YouTube video on what's the best way to wash Aida by hand. So here's where we're at. And again, cross stitch is so much better when you see it from far away. I've not done any of the back stitching in Moment, but you can definitely read Moment coming in here. So again, up close, but then you pull it far away. So enjoying this. I've been getting some decent progress done on that. It's funny when you give time to projects how they grow, progress and grow. All right, so let's go move into In the Spotlight. Let's start off with what I'm watching and reading these past 2 weeks. So we're still watching Grace and Frankie. We're in season 3, watching that while we have dinner and whatnot. I'm also still catching up with Zoo. I am in season 2 and in the second half of it. It's far-fetched, but if you go along for the ride, they did kill off one of the major characters, which I was like, what? And I had to do a little researching on why they killed off that character, and it just seemed like they were giving a bunch of BS excuses on why they killed off the character, so that was interesting. We did watch the first episode of a newly released Netflix original series called Altered Carbon. And I don't know the guy's name. He was in Suicide Squad. He was also in The Falling. I think it was The Falling. It was one of the first Netflix original shows, and it was about 2 detectives, and he was the male detective. And it was based off of, I think, a Norwegian show. Anyway, this is interesting. We don't know really how we feel about it. We need to watch another episode, but it's set way in the future, so it's a lot of exposition to get used to the world that they've set up. But it's basically about people who are put into shells, which are, your consciousness can be downloaded into a body, and so, whether people die or they're imprisoned, their bodies are used as these shells or whatnot. So it's about this man who comes out of being in storage for 250 years, and he was kind of like an ultimate assassin, and he's been called out and hired by a very rich man to figure out who attempted to kill him. So because you can elude death because your consciousness can be re-downloaded into a shell, this rich man was killed, and then his consciousness was downloaded into a new shell, and so he's now hired somebody to figure out who's done it. So it is visually stunning. I will say that. we're paying more now on Netflix. Do you have Netflix? Did you get the price hike? Yeah, did you get that notice? We're paying now more without, asking if we want it for more. Which, do you guys get analysis paralysis when sitting down to watch Netflix? I just never know what to pick. I feel like there's too much. So I'm like, oh great, now I'm paying you more for even more stuff that I don't know what to watch. Anyway. So Altered Carbon, I'll let you know what I think in a couple of weeks when we watch more of that. We are also watching The Alienist, which is on TNT. We are about 2 episodes in on that. I think the 4th one comes out tomorrow. I want to say there's 3 episodes out and the 4th one comes out tomorrow. That is set in the late 1800s in New York City, and it's about a sketch artist and a alienist. An alienist was known as somebody who studied those who have mental incapacities, that they've alienated their sensibilities, and so because of that term, basically a shrink, they have named those people alienists. And there's been a series of murders of young boys in New York City, and so he's kind of on the search to figure out who's done it. And they also team up with a few other people, including a young woman who is the first woman to ever work for the New York Police Department as essentially the secretary to the commissioner. And so she gets roped in, and that's being played by Dakota Fanning, who's doing a nice job so far. It's weird to see her as a grown-up woman's role, because I think back to things like War of the Worlds where she was so small, but people grow up and get older. I'm proof of that. No hair, see? Anyway, so I'm enjoying that show. We did watch a movie last night. I conned Andy to sit down and watch it. He was not enthralled to sit down and watch it with me. But this just came out on Netflix too. Again, it's a Netflix original movie called The Ritual. And it is about a group of men who go on a hike in Sweden? I believe Sweden. Basically, they lost a friend of theirs, and they do it in remembrance of him. And while they're on this trail, it's kind of like the Appalachian Trail, they said, but, in Sweden. It looked beautiful. But one of them twisted their ankle, and so they need to kind of speed up the hike, and they decide to cut through a forest, which then kind of all hell breaks loose. It was all right. It was not great. But if you're looking for that kind of scary movie fix on a weekend like I was, it fit the bill. So again, that was The Ritual, again on Netflix. And then in books, I finished listening to The Innocent by David Baldacci. This is the second book I've read by him, and I really enjoy his books. So this was about an American sniper, an American assassin hired by the governor to, take care of issues that need to be taken care of. And he essentially gets hired for a job, and he does not follow through with it, and then starts to be hunted down and realizes that the government did not put him behind that hit, that he was being used. And he also teams up with a young girl whose parents are killed, and then the killers are still trying to track her down. I know this sounds all far-fetched, but it's actually a really good book. And so I enjoyed that. It is the first in the Will Roby series, so we'll see if I check out the other ones with some future Audible credits. But I did give that 4 stars on Goodreads. Okay, so let's talk stash enhancement. I showed you already the Regia Perfect that I cast on, and I showed you the Addy Flexi Flips. I also picked up on Tuesday at midnight a pom-pom, because everybody's all about the pom-poms. And so my local yarn store has been getting a ton of pom-poms in various sizes and colors. And because I was knitting this boy hat, and it was not one of my regular worsted weight hats, I was like, well, maybe I'll put a pom-pom on it. And so she has them at the table where we all sit around and knit. And so I was pairing up colors, and this one came, and I was like, yep, that's pretty much perfect. So once I get this washed, I am going to attach the pom-pom. This is one with strings on it, And what my local yarn store owner, Kelly, had told me, she gave me some of these foam pieces to help kind of balance it inside the hat. And so what she said to do was to take the strings and put it on a sewing needle, essentially, or a very sharp needle, poke it through the top of the hat, and then poke it through these foam pieces inside the hat to kind of balance it. And then to tie a knot, like just an overhand knot, and then wrap it around the foam pieces, almost like you wrap around the back of a button, and then to tie a bow into that so that you have some stability, but you can also take the pom-pom off if you need to. So I'm going to try to give that a shot. We'll see how that goes. I have to see if I can, I should be able to get through one of those through my cross-stitch needles because I don't have sewing needles. So super excited about this pom-pom. Of course, I want the biggest ones that she has. And I love kind of the faux fur and the different colors. Can you see? Kind of the darker brown, bronze, black tips on the ends. So that was another thing that I picked up on Tuesday. Tuesday was one of those days like, I just want to buy stuff. So I did. But something else that came in the mail that I've been waiting on for several weeks because I ordered it from overseas via eBay is a cross-stitch chart. I'm starting to stash patterns now, which it's taking me years to finish projects, and it's going to do that. But this one came up on one of the floss tubes that I watch, and I literally paused the video and went to eBay and found it and bought it. And this is from the designer Soda Stitch, which is out of Korea, I believe, I've been hearing about. And this is design number 480, which is 4 seasons. And most of the Soda Stitch are these kind of cute, big-eyed, fat-cheeked baby cherub fairy tale stuff. Not my cup of tea. But this is not that. This is a cityscape. And there you go. I fell in love with the colors and the architecture. And it is a big piece. So I'm going to need to, it's got all the DMC floss numbers on the back that I'm going to have to go through and purchase eventually when I get to this. I'm going to have to figure out fabrics, if I'm going to do 1/1, 2/2. It says the approximate size is, I can't read that. I don't know why it says on 14 count. But then why is it giving 2 different sizes? It says 109.8 centimeters by 38.3, so 119 by 53 centimeters. But I've never ordered a pattern like this, and I'll just show you it folds out. First of all, it's like 2 pages. It folds out. But can you see there? It's colored. And big. So I'm like, this is my type of chart where I can just sit down, look at it, put Post-it notes down, and it's color-coded. But it's a big piece. But it is beautiful. So I'm super excited whenever, in 20 years when I'm in retirement, 30 years when I'm in retirement, when I can sit down and work on that. But I'm super excited about that. So, again, that was the 4 Seasons by Soda Stitch. Okay, let's go to this episode's giveaway. So this week, we're going to be giving away 3 skeins of cotton yarn. 2 of them are Lily's Sugar and Cream, and 1 is Crafter's Secret Cotton. Figure, we're kind of in the doldrums of winter. The Winter Olympics are going on. Are you an Olympics watcher? I'm not really. But I figured some bright, fun colors might be a good way to go. So Sugar and Cream is 2 ounces and 95 yards in a bowl. This one is in color, in the poppy color. So it's orange and white. And then this one is in the aloe vera colorway, which is green. And then this Crafter's Secret Cotton is 95 yards, and this is in the color Pinkalicious. So whoever wins this will win all 3. So if you like to make dishcloths, if you're doing the Yarn Hoarder dishcloth along, which I know a lot of you are, this might be good for that. or baby booties or things like that, little baby knits, burp claws, things of that nature. So to enter to win, again, this contest will be open for 3 weeks since we won't be recording for 3 weeks. You must be a member of the Dramatic Knits Ravelry group, and you can post once in the thread. And the prompt this episode is, what is your favorite thing about winter? So tell me, what do you enjoy about winter? And I will shut down the thread before we record in 3 weeks, and I'll use a random number generator to select a winner. So go on over and enter into that thread. And so then let's move into a round of applause. And we need to talk about last episode's giveaway, which was for a copy of One Skein Wonders for Babies, edited by Judith Durant. And the prompt last episode was, describe your perfect day. And so random number generator selected number 2, who is Family Diva, and that is Sue from Texas. So congratulations, Sue. We've chatted quite a few times, so she's a wonderful human being, and so congratulations on winning this. This is going to be heading your way, but I'm going to let you hear this, Sue. So please, if you would you please private message me on Ravelry and give me your shipping address again, and I will get this in the mail to you. She said her perfect day is to be able to have lots of time to do some knitting while watching a great podcast. And she went wink, wink. So I think that's the perfect day. And that's kind of what I want to do today. But I have a feeling I'm going to have to dye some yarn. But I'm going to try to get more crafting time in today. So congratulations, Sue. And thank you, everyone, for entering. We also had another giveaway last episode. And that was for a pair of the sheep scissors that was sent to me by Anne of the Silver Shed USA, and she actually sketched up the drawing that these scissors were designed after. And so the prompt for these was, what would you name your pair of sheep scissors? And we had a lot. We had over 100 people enter for these. So number 48 was the winner, and that's Aries Knitwit, and that's Karen from Pennsylvania. And she said she would either name them Merle Merino or Betsy BFL. So that's super cute. I love the alliteration there. So congratulations, Karen. Again, private message me on Ravelry, Dramatic Knits, with your first and last name and complete mailing address, and I will get these in the mail to you as soon as possible. Again, if I don't hear from you this week, just know that you will not be getting your prizes for about 3 weeks because I will be out of town. Okay, that same message needs to go to the next 5 people. So our Clean Off Your Needles Knit Along ended at the end of January, and we had just over 200 entries into that knit along. And so for what we do for our knit alongs, is for every 50 entries, we add another prize. So we start off with 1, and every 50 entries after that, we add another prize. So with 200, we had 5 prizes to give away. So I sat down with the random number generator this morning, and the first number I chose was number 82, and that is Rose Bob, and that's Rose from the UK. So Rose, I'm going to gift you a pattern on Ravelry up to $5. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm going to sneeze. I'm trying to hold it back, especially because I've ran out of Kleenex up here, so like that wouldn't be nice. So Rose Bob, if you would please let me know, email me what pattern you would like and the designer, and I will gift that to you up to $5. So congratulations. The next winner is number 22, who is Frugal Knitter, and that is Diana, and she has won a skein of Knit Picks Wonder Fluff in the Atlantic Heather colorway. So congratulations, Diana. Again, message me with your first and last name and mailing address. And this is fun. This is a bulky weight, 142 yards, 70% baby alpaca, 7% merino, 23% nylon. Number 3 is number 13, Sarah's Nana, and that's Pat from Maryland. So congratulations, Pat. You have won a skein of Cascade Yarns Longwood Sport, and this is in color number 44. This is 273 yards of 100% superwash extra fine merino wool. So congratulations. Pat, again, message me with your shipping information. The next one is number 101, and that's Machinda, and that's Melinda from Oregon. And she won a skein of Barocco Boboli lace, which I've knit with this before, and I have a couple more in my stash. Super fun colors. Gotta love the sheen on this. This is a single ply fingering weight, 42% wool, 35% acrylic, 23% viscose. And this is in color 4385. So congratulations, Melinda. Again, get me your shipping information so I can get this out in the mail to you. And then last but not least, number 94, who is Karenina 4777, and that's Christine from Missouri. And Christine, you've won my pair of Addi Flexi Flips. So I noticed that you knit socks, and I went and clicked on them, and you knit your socks on a 2.25, so I figured you might want to try these. So since these were not my jam, and I can't return these, needles are not returnable at my shop, so I knit about 7 rounds on them, so maybe you'll like them. Hopefully you will, but you'll get to try them out. So again, private message me your shipping information, and I'll get these out to you. So thank you everyone who shared with us everything that you cleaned off your needles in January. Hopefully you have some fresh bare needles to cast something on with for the remainder of the year. Again, we're not doing anything in February. We'll let you know when our next official knit along is going on. But we always have our Race to the Finished Object contest. So we are pulling for January's winners this episode. And you can post anything you finish in the month that we're hosting that thread. So every month has its own thread. And you can post anything. It doesn't matter when you started it, but as long as you finish it in that month, you can post in there, and that will get you an entry into our drawing. So our physical prize for January is a skein of Cascade 220 Superwash paints in color number 9875. This is 100% hand-painted superwash wool, 228 yards, this lovely blue. And the winner of this was number 223, who is Churro Mom 2, and that is Kim from Washington. So congratulations, Kim. You've won this skein of worsted weight. Thank you for sharing your project and getting in contact with me, and I'll get this on its way to you. Our pattern winner for the month of January, who wins a pattern from our featured designer, who is Shelby Hamden, was number 138, and that's Sonic Freak, and that's Amanda from Indiana. So congratulations, Amanda. If you would find Shelby Hamden as a designer, we do have her design page linked on our show notes, which can be found at dramaticknits.com. And let me know which one of her patterns you would like to be gifted. I will let Shelby know, and she will gift that to you. So congratulations to Amanda, and thank you so much to Shelby for being our featured designer. So, that being said, it is February, and the February Race to the Finished Object thread is open. Again, anything you finish in the month of February can go into that thread. You can double, triple, quadruple, dip as many times as you want to into as many contests with that finished project as you can. We will have another prize as well as another pattern from Shelby, as she's our featured designer for the next couple of months. So get those finished objects into that thread. All right, that is it for everything for Dramatic Knits. We're going to move into Center Stage, which is about Leading Men Fiber Arts. I don't have too much. I have nothing to show, but I do have a few things to talk about. So if you leave us, we'll see you in 3 weeks. But if not, hopefully you'll stick with us. I'm just going to share with you a few different items of note. So the first thing is our Year in Review Knit Along, hosted in the Leading Men Fiber Arts Ravelry group. This is a knit along that is, started January 1st and goes until February 28th. And you can knit with any one of the 10 colorways that we premiered in the Leading Men Fiber Arts shop in 2017. It doesn't have to just be that colorway. It doesn't have to be all that colorway, but somewhere in your project you have to use one of those 10 colors. And you can post a finished object thread in the FO thread. There's also a chatter thread. We've only had one person enter with 3 different hats, so your odds of winning are very great. The prize is a $50 gift certificate to the Leading Men Fiber Arts shop. We also do have our Love Letters Mystery Knit Along thread going. So we had kits that were part of a collaboration with 3 Irish girls, and those have sold out on both sites. Thank you so much. But starting this Wednesday on Valentine's Day, the first clue is being dropped for the Love Letters Mystery Knit Along, which you can purchase the pattern on Ravelry. It has been designed by 4 fabulous designers. We have Stephanie of Telly Bean Knits, Lisa of Paper Daisy Creations, and Megan and Corey of Knit Cahoots. So they've each designed one part of the mystery knit along, and you will get 1 clue every week for 4 weeks. And it takes 4 different half skeins of yarn. So you can check out the thread and the pattern page for more information for that. But if you use any base of Leading Men Fiber Arts in that project, you can post FO pictures in the Leading Men Fiber Arts group. If you use any base or color of 3 Irish Girls, you can also post in the 3 Irish Girls group. So there's 3 or 2 different prize threads you can enter depending on what yarn you're using. And the prize in both groups is going to be a $50 gift certificate to each respective shop. Okay, I do want to tell you about a new pattern that was just released by Megan of Knit Cahoots, also known as Just Run It. And she released a colorwork hat and mitten set called the Be Mine Hat and Mittens. They are 2 separate patterns, but she is running a promotion right now if you check out her Instagram, where you can get both patterns for the price of 1. She did use Leading Men Fiber Arts for a lot of her samples, and so we worked together to come up with 4 different color combos that you can pre-order in our shop, and in fact most of it's ready to go. Those pre-orders will be up through Wednesday, so we will be closing those down on Thursday morning. But if you see this before then and you're interested, it does come with 2 skeins of DK weight, and you can get both the hat and mittens out of those 2 skeins. We just recommend that you alternate the main color and contrasting color between the hat and mittens so that you have enough yarn. And those are just, it's not a kit, it doesn't come with the pattern, you have to purchase that separately, but you can get both those skeins of DK weight already color coordinated for you, ready to go. So you can check out the shop there. And then last but not least, I want to tell you about upcoming shows. So here in the next week or so, I have 2 shows. So this weekend, I'm going to the Knitting Pipeline Retreat on Friday, and then Saturday is the market. I will be vending with pretty much an assortment of what I already have in the online shop. So if you peruse the online shop, you'll kind of know what's going to be there in terms of yarn. Again, I'm not bringing specialty items, gradients, sock blanks, project bags, kits. It's just the yarn I'm bringing for Pipeline. So that will be open to the retreat attendees, I believe, at 1, and then open to the public at 2, maybe. Or maybe it's just open in general at 2. I'm not sure. We kind of have lunch, and then they give us some time to set up. And once all the vendors are set up, then they open the doors for the attendees to come. So, again, it's open to the public. That's in Washington, Illinois. There is more information in the Knitting Pipeline Retreats group on Ravelry. So I come back Saturday afternoon, and then I have to do laundry and pack and get ready for leaving for California. While I am gone, Andy is going to be packing the van to the hilt. I mean, there will not be an inch of spare room probably in that van, and still we're probably not going to be able to bring everything we've already prepped, which is a good problem to have. And so we're leaving Sunday morning. It's going to take us approximately 4 days of about 8 to 9 hours a day driving. It's about a 33-hour trip, but of course, diversions, stopping for food, things like that. We're hoping to get more hours in, because our plan is to actually get to Santa Clara on Wednesday and set up on Wednesday. And that way we can take Thursday during the day and kind of explore and do some sightseeing. The market will open for the preview from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Thursday, and that will be open to anybody who is attending classes or purchased a ticket to an event through the Stitches event. And then the market will be open to the public Friday and Saturday from 10 to 6 and from Sunday from 10 to 4. We are in booths 1340, 1342, and 1344. We will be right across from the Plucky Knitter. It's kind of in the back and in the corner a little bit. We're not fully in the corner, but we're more towards the back, which is fine. But come and check us out. We're going to have so much stuff. I'm just excited to see all the yarn in our booth. I mean, this is the most stocked yarn that we will ever have for an event ever. So it's exciting. So come and say hi if you are there. Again, come and say hi if you're at the Knitting Pipeline Retreat. I am actually a rather introverted person until I get to know you. So sometimes I may come off as a little awkward or not know what to say. That's just me. Just keep talking and I'll keep smiling and eventually I'll open up. So anyway, thank you so much for sitting and chatting, and hopefully you were doing some knitting while I was talking this episode. Look, it's just me and my voice is going because, again, not used to talking, but I still filled an hour show. But hopefully you enjoyed today's show. Thank you so much, those of you who have been with me for a long time, and those of you who have been with me for 7 years. Bless you. I hope you are with me for the next 7 because I don't see myself going anywhere. So thank you again for joining. And you can find all of our contact information and social media on the scrolling page right after this. And until we see you again in 3 weeks, I hope you knit something dramatic.